The itch wouldn't stop. It was there when I woke up. There when I went to work. There when I sat at my desk pretending to focus on other cases, the petty thefts and domestic disputes that were Ravenshore's usual fare. The Megan Collins case was closed, the paperwork filed, the suspect awaiting trial. But my brain refused to let it go, so I kept digging. Quietly. Off the record. On my own time, with files I'd copied before they went into archives, I started with the evidence timeline. Day 1, Megan's body found, no witnesses, no weapon, no leads. Days 2 through 8, we canvass, interview, chase dead ends, nothing connects. Day 9, Tommy Whitmore comes forward. Identifies Danny Vance as the man arguing with Megan. Day 10, the knife is found in a dumpster behind the cannery. Day 11, Claire Mendez comes forward. Places Danny near his home on the night of the murder, looking freaked out. Day 12, fingerprint match comes back. Danny's print on the handle. Day 13, arrest. 8 days of nothing, then 5 days of everything. The break was too clean, too sudden, like someone had flipped a switch. I pulled Tommy Whitmore's witness statement and read it again. He said he'd been closing up the fish market when he saw Megan and Danny arguing. But the fish market was 3 blocks from the parking lot behind the cannery. At night. In the dark. How had he seen them clearly enough to identify Danny? I checked the lighting in that area. 2 streetlights, both on the far side of the parking lot. The cannery side was in shadow. Tommy had seen a man arguing with a woman. He'd assumed it was Danny because Danny was the obvious suspect, the town troublemaker, the guy everyone knew and avoided. But had he actually seen Danny's face? Or had he seen a figure that matched what he expected to see? The knife was the bigger problem. Found in a dumpster 4 blocks from the crime scene, wrapped in a plastic bag, covered in Megan's blood. The blade matched the wound pattern. Danny's fingerprint was on the handle, but the timing was wrong. We'd searched that area on day 2. A full sweep, every dumpster, every alley, every hiding spot. The knife wasn't there. We would have found it, which meant someone had placed it there between day 2 and day 10. After the initial search, when it would be discovered exactly when it needed to be discovered. Planted evidence. I wrote that down and circled it 3 times. Claire Mendez was the weakest link. She lived 2 houses down from Danny. She'd come forward on day 11, claiming she'd seen Danny returning home late on the night of the murder, clothes wet, looking scared. But her statement had inconsistencies. She said she'd been looking out her window because she couldn't sleep, but her window faced the opposite direction from Danny's house. She would have had to be in her kitchen, looking out the side window to see him approach. Why would she be in her kitchen at 1:00 a.m.? I drove to her neighborhood, knocked on her door. She answered in a bathrobe, looking suspicious. Detective Hartley, I already gave my statement. I know, I just have a few follow-up questions. I kept my voice friendly. You said you saw Danny Vance from your window. Which window exactly? She hesitated. The kitchen, I was getting water. And from that window you could see Danny approaching his house? Yes, she stopped, her face changed. Why are you asking me this? Just clarifying details for the record. The case is closed, they arrested Danny. I know, but these details matter for the trial. She stared at me for a long moment, then she stepped back from the door. I told you what I saw. Did you? The door closed. The lock clicked. I stood on her porch, processing. Claire Mendez was lying. She couldn't have seen Danny from that window at that angle, which meant either she was mistaken or someone had told her what to say. Back at my apartment, I spread out all 3 witness statements. Tommy Whitmore identified Danny based on a figure in the dark, 3 blocks away. Claire Mendez claimed to see Danny from an impossible angle. Fingerprint match, Danny's print on a knife that was planted days after the murder. Someone had built this case piece by piece. Someone who knew how investigations worked. Someone who understood that evidence mattered more than truth. I wrote down the question that had been eating at me. Asterisk, why Danny Vance? Asterisk, he was convenient. Low social standing, criminal record, no one to vouch for him. If he went to prison, no one important would care. No one would keep looking. Except me. My phone buzzed, a text from Burke. Asterisk, Chief's asking about your time sheets. You've been working off the clock. Asterisk, I typed back. Asterisk, following up on loose ends. Asterisk, asterisk, the case is closed. Asterisk, asterisk, Danny Vance didn't kill Megan Collins. Asterisk, a long pause. Then, asterisk, I know. Asterisk, I stared at the screen. 3 dots appeared, then disappeared, then appeared again. Asterisk, be careful. If someone went to this much trouble to frame Danny, they're watching to see if anyone gets close. Asterisk, he was right. I looked around my apartment. At the files on my table, the notes on my walls, the evidence of an investigation I was conducting alone. Someone had orchestrated Megan's murder and Danny's frame-up with precision. Someone who knew the island, knew the players, knew how to manipulate evidence and witnesses. Someone who was still out there. And if they were watching, I closed the blinds, then I went back to work.